Okay, thank you. So I've been very passionate about issues of governance for a long time. Um, I have a background of journalism and media, so I worked in the media for quite some time. But then I was introduced in the governance space somewhere around 2019. I think Isaac and I attended this training institution in the US. Uh, Constitutional training school in the US at the University of Virginia. So that's how I found myself into this line of work, advocating for issues to do with good governance as well as citizen participation.
And what? How?
So aside from that, I also, hello?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so aside that, I also studied law. I have a law degree.
Okay, excellent. You said that you're in the community in Choma. I take it that you're speaking to communities about electoral reforms, about delimitation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What are you hearing from people? What are you hearing on the ground?
Okay, so what we are hearing from people, to start with, there has been little to no consultations as well as citizen participation. If you look at where these electoral reforms are stemming from, we started with what was then called Bill 7. Okay, when before we amended the constitution, when we still had Bill 7, there was a lot of noise. Almost everyone was on radio, social media talking about, the bill. But now that the bill has been passed into a law, we are seeing little, only a few stakeholders are going back to the community to tell people what it is that changed in the constitution and how that actually affects them. Because if you look at the changes that were made to the constitution, they have a lot to do with our electoral process. The number of constituencies was increased from 156 to add 70 more, and as a result of that, the ECZ is under, is doing the delimitation process, which should also largely be a people-driven process. Aside that, we also have a change to do with proportional representation, which also changes the way we do the way we choose our leaders that represent us. But that as well has not, been talked about. Only a few people have gone back to the community to tell them what proportional representation really means. And lastly, but not the least, we are also seeing a situation where now the Electoral Commission of Zambia and Minister of Justice have to do amendments to the Electoral Process Act, which also, to speak to the changes that were made in the Constitution. So in all these processes, you find that there has been less room for citizens to participate. If you look at the delimitation processes, some of the sittings that are attended in the province, in Southern Province, largely the rooms were characterized by, mostly government heads of department, aspiring candidates, political parties, councillors, but what of the ordinary citizen? Because if the people are the ones who should benefit from the delimitation process, then they should have their voice represented. They should be at the table where decisions to do with delimitation, where constituencies are being proposed. But I think we didn't see much of citizen consultation, citizen participation in all these processes. As I mentioned earlier, that the Electoral Process Act is in the process of being amended. There's a bill currently, but what level of consultation, what level of engagement have we had? So those are some of the processes that, I come in the community. I go into the communities to sensitize the people about the changes that have been effected as a result of the constitution amendment. Also tell them what is in the electoral processes amendment bill and what that will mean for them if the law is to be changed. And also just tell them how the delimitation process is supposed to do, what their role is as citizens, and how that will change the way representation is done, both in parliament and at a local level.
Okay, so maybe let me bring in Isaac into the conversation. So Isaac, the two, I suppose, the two footnotes in terms of why we are having this conversation is because Bill 7 shifted from being a bill and is now, the Constitutional Amendment Act number 13 of 2025. In the new constitution, there are two areas that are of major interest here. So, number one, Parliament, there's an increase in terms of seats. I believe it's 70 seats, and we've introduced what we call the proportional representation. Just to explain to people how these two areas line up with electoral process and why we're having this particular process of electoral reforms.
Thank you so much, Luchi. Thank you so much, Luchi. Yeah, you are very right, and we are past Bill 7 at this point, and I think that the nation must be focusing on Act number 13 of 2025, which is the Constitution of Zambia Amendment Act signed by the President Hakainde Hichilema, as well as what is going on now with the Electoral Commission of Zambia doing delimitation, as well as proposing the amendment to the Electoral Process Act. Now, the introduction of the PRS system by the Constitution, which introduced the PRS system both in the councils and the National Assembly, means that the law has changed. We now have a mixed member proportional representation, and mixed member is simply a mixture of these those who are elected based on the constituency-based seats and those who go to parliament or councils using the proportional representation seats. That is what has triggered the amendment to the Electoral Process Act. The increase in the number of 70 in the National Assembly is what has led to the delimitation process by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. So all these processes have been triggered by the amendment to the Constitution. Means that as we go to August 2026, a few months from now, we shall have many more seats, 226 seats, as opposed to the current 156. These seats would have to be created now and gazetted before immediately Parliament dissolves, they take effect. So that is why I think you have seen that civil society and the Electoral Commission of Zambia are busy going around the country to ensure that the delimitation happens properly and using the best detail, technical detail that can be utilized. In terms of the Electoral Process Act, you will notice that in Act number 13 now, there are no numbers, for instance, for councillors to contest proportional representation seats. People to contest, be adopted and contest the proportional representation seats at the council level. So where will the numbers sit? These numbers are now sitting in the draft bill, the proposed bill that is going to Parliament for enactment. And that is why it was necessary, because the committee did not want to include these technical details, small details in the Constitution. We had to provide for the principle. Now it has been included in the draft bill, where the proposals have been made, for instance, to have the specific numbers. Each council, depending on the composition of that council, will have specific numbers. So this is what has triggered the amendment to the Electoral Process Act. I'll give you one example. Here in Lusaka, if Lusaka, for instance, has more than 31 wards, means that the number of people, the number of PRS seats in Lusaka district will be 4 women, 3 youths, and 2 persons with disabilities. A council such as Mongu Council, which has less than 12 seats, will have 2 women, 1 youth, and persons with disabilities. How these come into the council is subject to what we can discuss, because the draft bill has provided how many must a political party propose, submit on their party list for these number of seats that have been created for the councils. So this is a lot of work that has to be done before the elections, and it's part of the electoral process. And we as a consortium of civil society organization, for instance, I'm the chairperson of this consortium of civil society organization on governance and constitutionalism. We have been very clear that we need to ensure that the timeline that ECZ is working on must cater for these changes that have been made to the law. We must get the numbers correctly, even in the bill that is going to Parliament. There are certain numbers that are not sitting well in the bill. For instance, when you talk about when does a party submit a list to the Electoral Commission of Zambia for the PR seats. Now, you will see that from the law, they are saying, when a presidential candidate has filed in their nomination and 5 days after the close of the nominations, that's when political parties must submit a party list. We do not agree with it entirely. This is a nomination of candidates to the National Assembly and to the councils. They must happen at the same time. Political parties, when you know that you want to feature, you want to participate in the PR seats, to get a proportion of the seats, you have a presidential candidate. You must be ready when your presidential candidate is going to file in to submit a list alongside the list that you submit to the National Assembly, to the Electoral Commission of Zambia. You cannot wait for 5 days. Why are we saying you cannot wait for 5 days? You see, we have a constitution that is fixed in terms of the timelines. A nomination can only be challenged 7 days after close of nominations. Now, when you allow 5 days for members of parliament who are coming on the party list to go and the parties to go and file in the list to say, here is a list, 5 days after the close of the nominations, it means you are creating a separate timeline for those nominations. The law requires that we challenge these nominations within 7 days, including those which are on the party list, because there might be people on the party list that would not qualify, and they are subject to be challenged in a court of law. They are not immune to be challenged. So for us, that is why we are saying that we need to get this bill right, because we don't want to be amending the laws. Why we pass them now, 2-3 years later, we begin to say, no, here we made a mistake. It was supposed to read like this. So we need to get these things correct in terms of of our numbers.
Okay. Can I ask, Joe? You're free to come in at any time, by the way. But let me throw this to you. Why is it that in the drafting of Bill 7, that is now obviously the Constitution, why is it that those that were drafting felt that councils it doesn't need to be specified in the manner that parliamentarians is specified in terms of the proportional representation? In the Constitution, it just says proportional representation, electoral system for a specified number of women, youth, and persons with disabilities as prescribed. That leaves it up to subsidiary legislation, which in this case is the electoral process reform. Why wasn't this explicitly the number? Why wasn't that explicitly put in the Constitution? Hi, Joe, are you there?
Sorry, I had lost connection. What's the question again?
I was saying, why is it that in terms of the Constitution, why is it that the elections to councils under the mixed proportional representation, why was that left to subsidiary legislation to figure out what that number is, unlike for parliamentarians where we know what the number is. We know going in that the number is 40 members of parliament, 20 women, 15 youth, 5 persons with disabilities. Why is that not the case in terms of the councils?
Okay, thank you very much. I think Isaac will come in. I think that has largely to do with, if you look at, we increased the numbers of the number of constituencies, but we did not increase the number of councils. So I think that has largely, in my opinion, to do with that line of amendment. But however, the Constitution also mentions that although it does not give specific numbers that go to the council, as Isaac mentioned, I think that will be, it is what the electoral process bill is trying to achieve by allocating seats based on the number of wards that each council has. So I think that's because we did not increase the number of districts, the number of councils in the amended constitution, but we increased the numbers of the constituencies.
Isaac, does that then mean that as you go along, there'll be increases every now and then?
So you will notice, Luchi, that from time immemorial, the number of members of the councils has never been a constitutional matter. It has never been a constitutional matter. So imagine that we just, for these proportional representation seats, we include them, and yet the composition of the council, the bigger composition of the council, is not included in the constitution. One option was to have all the numbers included and fix them in the councils. But that will mean that we'll be amending the constitution time and again. Time and again, we want to, the council dimension has to change, the composition has to change, means that we have to tamper with the numbers in the constitution. We need a 2/3 majority. That process of amending the constitution kicks in. And I think that leaving it to subsidiary legislation has been the best way to manage the numbers for the councils. Because we cannot have numbers, certain numbers are in the constitution, others are in subsidiary legislation. I think it doesn't work out well. And that was the wisdom of the committee to say, we may not include these numbers. We had wanted to include the percentages for each councils. But we realized as well that councils have different composition. For instance, like I've said, you find Mongo only has 10 councillors. And Lusaka has about 30 or whatever the number, but it's bigger than 27. So because of this, we said, let us leave it to subsidiary legislation such that when we need to change the outlook of the council, we can deal with subsidiary legislation at that point. Yeah, so I think that was the reason why we left it there. But I also want to just come in to tell you to say this bill that we are talking about, Luchi, you have heard it has generated, the electoral process bill has generated a number of debates. For me, what stands out in this bill is that first is that there's been an issue of the campaign period, which has been removed. The 90-day campaign period has been removed, and ECZ says it shall be determined by ECZ. That has been one of the controversies that civil society has taken up. The other issue is about the official stamp, the official mark on the ballot paper, which is going to be removed. I'm sure we'll be able to discuss this. And that ECZ has told us the justification of why they want to remove that. They are talking about the invalid ballot papers because an assistant electoral officer forgot to put an official mark, which is a stamp behind the ballot. So they are saying we have more of the invalid ballot papers. When a person genuinely voted, the only thing that is missing is on a stamp. Is that a solution to remove the stamp? We don't think it is a solution. To us, I think that the solution would be to retrain these assistant electoral officers so that they perform their duties without any negligence. Because it is pure negligence when you know you are being paid by the commission, by taxpayers, for putting a stamp on the ballot paper, and yet you forget to put the stamp. I think that it is negligence, and such people don't deserve to be part of the electoral process, managing the electoral process. Another issue has been the use.
Sorry. Yeah. Before let's go step by step here. So you brought about the official mark. Joe, once again, Joe, please feel free to join in at any time. If you raise your hand, I'm not going to see it because I'm not staring at the computer. So feel free to just chime in at any point that you feel like.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Isaac raised a very important issue on some of the proposed changes in the electoral process bill. For example, he mentioned that in the Principal Act, the principal law that we have, the campaign period is clear because when someone talks about the campaign period, even you know that it's a period of 3 months before holding of an election. But in the proposed amendment, ECZ is telling us that campaign period will mean a period that the commission will determine, in accordance with some other sections. So what that means is that now we don't have, we don't have a specific period. Like there's no definite period. The ECZ has a broad mandate. So removing the fixed campaign period and replacing with the commission determined period, we do not think this is a good thing, because then it will remove a clear statutory campaign timeframe. Because traditionally, when someone says campaign period, we all know that it is 3 months. But then removing that and vesting very broad discretion in the commission is going to undermine legal certainty and also predictability, because political parties need to plan for their campaigns. Candidates need to plan. Even voters like yourself and I, we depend on these fixed timeframes for planning. Political parties need to fundraise, they need to mobilize, and also certain compliance issues. So just removing the campaign period from the 3 months that we've known in the Principal Act, and just leaving the discretion with the commission to decide how long the campaign period will be. This creates, a risk of inconsistent and also selective application of the law. So I thought I would just raise that issue as well.
Okay, can I just maybe let me argue this point with you? So a couple, I think it was last week, we had somebody from the Electoral Commission. We also had the Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission of Zambia in the studio as well, within the past month or so. And they've explained, the thinking behind the removal of the campaign period. They say that that it's supposed to be, it says 90 days, correct?
Yes.
But they say that 3 months isn't 90 days, because you have a 31-day month that leads to a 30-day month that leads to a 31-day month. It's not necessarily, if you just say 3 months, it's not necessarily 90 days. I think that's the argument.
Well, you see, Luchi, this is understood. And like my learned colleague Joe has actually explained, that we could have done it better. We could have framed it better. The intention by the Electoral Commission of Zambia could be genuine, but it is the manner in which it has been framed and who has been given the discretion. What the Zambian people are saying is that, no, don't get so much discretion as a commission. For instance, what have we proposed ourselves? We have proposed as civil society that the campaign period must read, it is a period which happens after the close of nominations and a day before an election. That is more understood and more predictable by political parties, because you would know to say, when nominations have closed, the campaigns begin. A day after the nominations have closed, the campaigns begin, and they'll end with an election. And I can add to the reasoning by ECZ to say campaign period is not just for the general election. It is also for these by-elections that they conduct. Sometimes they conduct by-elections. You find that the nominations are 30 days, or the election would have to take place within 45 days. Now, if you count the 90 days, it will go beyond an election period. So their intentions, their motive could have been good. But the problem is that the commission was trying to get more discretion to themselves. The better way of framing it is to ensure that it's predictable. It tells people to say that the campaign period will kick in, will kickstart. Whether there's a petition or not, it will kickstart immediately after the close of nominations, and it will end a day before an election. So everybody would know about that. So we believe that is the way members of parliament must look at it. And even ECZ, we are trying to persuade them to say, relook at this thing. Don't get the discretion. Zambians people are already too suspicious. What is it that you want to do? You can remove this unnecessary suspicion by just trying to fix the campaign period according to the law, so that everybody understands it, Joe,
do you want to come in at all?
Yeah, I agree with Isaac, and you said that 3 months sometimes might be less. So as Isaac mentioned, the idea, the intentions might be good, but the way you frame it, because we do not want to end up in court again, where people will be heading to the Constitutional Court to have, all these matters be interpreted. So the intentions may be good, but what we fear as CSOs is that just leaving it at the discretion of ECZ to decide is too risky, because remember, we do not make laws for the good people, because what happens when those good people decide not to be good anymore? So it should be clear, in as much as 3 months in times cannot add up to 90 days, but let us have a fixed campaign period that each and every one of us is going to know, because remember, as Isaac mentioned, people are already too suspicious. So if we have a fixed term, that is going to inform not just political parties but voters as well, because we need to assess who we are voting for based on the campaigns. So people, as I mentioned, people need to mobilize, people need to fundraise. So we cannot then just give ECZ discretionary powers to decide when the campaign begins, and without having a fixed campaign period. Maybe the problem is the way they framed it. So let's have what we are proposing as CSOs is, let us have something that is going to be clear, that everyone is going to be comfortable with.
Would a comfortable situation be for it to say a campaign period means a period of 90 days? Would that, before the holding of an election, would that be a good compromise?
It doesn't have to be necessarily 90 days.
It could be 80 days, 70 days, whatever number of days. But would that be rather than, because I think, let's explain for people that may think that CSOs are just being difficult here. Let's explain why the CSOs feel like leaving it up to the Electoral Commission in terms of the discretion means that they can literally say that the campaign period is 2 days before the election. That's a possibility, correct?
Exactly. So when you bring in the number of 90 days, if you look at the Principal Act, if you look at the law does not mention 90 days. It just says 3 months.
3 months, yeah.
Okay. 3 months. You may have a month that has 28 days, 29 days. So if they say it could be a month, as long as we have a fixed period that everyone is going to. So it doesn't really have to be 90 days.
Okay. All right. Can you let's talk about the official mark, because I know, Isaac, you brought about the official mark as well, and I know that many CSOs are very frustrated by the proposal to remove the official mark. Isaac, you've been involved in the electoral process for a very, very long time. First of all, let me tell you what I told the chief electoral officer. I said I wasn't actually aware of the official mark. And I gave a couple of reasons why. Number one, the process is taxing. You're in a queue for a very long time. By the time you get to the front of the queue, you just want to mark and get out. So a lot of times you may not pay a lot of attention to the fact that if I didn't even know it was stamped. And that's what I'm saying. And I think a lot of people felt the same until the debate around this official mark came about. And so I first of all thought that this official mark must be a really big thing. Must be some giant. I didn't realize it's just a date stamp.
Yeah, it's just a date stamp.
And because it's just a date stamp, why are we making a fuss out of it just being a date stamp?
So the idea of having an official mark, the way the law was crafted in 2016 and previously, when we have had this official mark, a date stamp, the need to stamp a ballot paper, is to ensure that only ballot papers that are stamped should find their way into the ballot box. Okay? So you have had the situations where, people had been very sensitive about the rigging, where people can just interchange the ballot paper. So ballot papers come printed, they have their own marks, secure marks and all that. But if ballot papers, for instance, are overprinted, and then they are stuffed into the ballot box without being stamped, it is at that point where you can pinpoint to say, that is that ballot paper, how did it find itself inside there? Or you are moving these ballot boxes to another center, a collation center where they are being collated. You find that there is an interchange of ballot boxes. You have ballot boxes which have not been stamped. So when we are training monitors in an election, we tell them what to look for. Whenever the counting will be taking place, to say that the ballot must have a stamp behind. Even when you are going to collect it, you go to a collation center, you must be sure that all the ballot papers that have been counted are the ones with the stamp. Okay, so that avoids this suspicion to say people have stuffed in the ballot papers. Now, Luchi, you understand that in 2021, we had 126,569 or so rejected ballot papers. These were invalid ballot papers. Now, why were they invalid? There are principally, for me, would be about 3 reasons or so. One, it could be that these ballot papers did not have the official mark behind.
In fact,
that is one of the reasons.
In fact, what we were told by the chief electoral officer was that most of them,
most
of that number,
exactly,
were not.
So they have not given us the numbers, and you see that's where the problem. There was
actually a number that was given us.
I
wish I remembered it, but there was actually a specific number that he gave in terms of
the
percentage.
So they are rejected ballot papers because there is no official mark. There is no stamp. Another reason why a ballot paper is rejected is that a voter like me or from Kanyama would go and mark on 2 candidates. I think I'll vote for the first one. I'll vote for Mr. Akainde Chidema. The second one I'll vote for Mr. Mliokela here. Okay, that is an invalid ballot. The third one is that you cannot attribute this ballot paper to any one candidate. The mark has just gone above the box where you mark there, where you put an X. You can't attribute it to any candidate. Now, I'm not sure whether it is because of this official mark that why we have so many rejected ballot papers. In my understanding, I would assume that our voters, because voters are, like these invalid ballot papers, even here in Lusaka, Kanyama, Matero, Chawama, where people are even intelligent, Lusaka, the learned people, they are rejected ballot papers. For me, it is not because probably the Electoral Commission did not stamp the ballot papers. It is because the mark was not clear, or it couldn't be attributed to any one of the candidates, and so it's rejected. So, if at all it is true with what the CEO of the commission has said, which I'm not disputing, what is the solution? Is the solution to remove the mark altogether? The solution is not to remove the mark. The mischief is that the electoral officers, people that are being paid to put the ballot, to put the stamp, are not doing their duty. So it calls on the commission to ensure that they can retrain these people.
Can I ask, is it possible to have an election ballot papers counted without needing the mark? So let's discuss this let's discuss this as lawyers. What is the mischief that we're trying to prevent by having a stamp?
The mischief we're trying to deal with by having a stamp is to ensure that the ballot which has been put there is authenticated.
Okay.
Now, authenticated means that me, who's a monitor, should be able to see that ballot is marked, that ballot is marked, that ballot is marked, is going in. That when we open the ballot box, at any point, whether now or when the matter goes to court, when you go to court, the court might order a recount. And what they'll be recounting are ballot papers that were authenticated. Now, if you're going to have ballot papers that can easily be interchanged, that becomes a problem, even at the court level.
You don't think it's enough authentication that the ballot has security features, that serial numbers, within the polling stations, there are 7 or 8 monitors who are all seeing how these papers are going into boxes. It would be okay.
It would be okay, Luchi. It would be okay. But why you add
because remember, it is just a stamp.
Yes. And why you add a stamp?
And this was the point that I was trying to argue with the chief electoral officer. I can get this stamp from anywhere.
No.
There's nothing. There's no biometric. Nothing is involved in this date stamp.
No. This stamp is a stamp that belongs to the commission. And if you get a stamp from anywhere,
but Isaac,
first you'll be committing.
Isaac, hold on. We live in a time where we've all seen fake
Yes.
press statements.
Yes.
Some of them even have logos of state
Yes.
houses. Are you genuinely telling me that I can't manufacture this stamp anyway?
You can
If I
manufacture
wanted
the
to.
stamp. I'll give you an example of
And that's
money,
what I'm
Luchi.
saying. Because
Luchi,
it
let
is
me
just
give you
a
an
stamp.
example
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
We can say, oh, yeah, the kwacha can still be a kwacha without the stamp of the governor. Without this. Why have those features been added? It is to enhance the security of the currency. Not that you cannot make a fake money. You can, and people do that. But you enhance it by adding more features to ensure that there is credibility to it. So you can still have the ballot paper standing on its own. Just like you have a kwacha standing on its own, you can have a kwacha without the signature for the Bank of Zambia governor. It can still be a kwacha and be used. But why you do that is because you want to add extra security, to add more credibility to what you have in your hand. So for me, the debate is not about we can still do without it. We can do with so many things away. In this country and around the world, you can do away with so many things. Okay, even on our phones and all these, even our phones, they get to be pirated. Okay? But the issue is that for you are running an electoral process. And you keep on trying to improve the electoral system, the security of the ballot, and that was the whole essence of adding the official mark. So the framers of that law, which was the government, they had an understanding to say, this needs to be done. It wasn't us, the public. It was the government, in fact, that said, no. For the credibility, there must be a mark. Yeah. So the only thing that we can deal with, Ruchi, and I think the commission should agree with us, train your officers. No one must be negligent in managing an election. It's just a day or so. You can spend 12 hours stamping the ballot papers just to satisfy that. Such that when there is an argument, you go to court and the court orders that the ballot papers must be secured, must be brought to court and kept safe for recount. They'll be counting something where everybody will agree it as a mark, it as a mark. It was never interchanged. That is the way we look at it.
Okay. Joe, you want to come in?
Yes, so I agree with Isaac. So if you look at the debate around the official mark, so maybe let's talk about why is the official mark there. We all agree that it is there to identify, every ballot at the polling station. So the main purpose is to confirm that the ballot is genuine and has also, been officially issued by the electoral authorities. So the mark is not just there. It is an important, it plays a very important role in protecting the integrity of the voting process. Because remember, it is also the Constitution in Article 45 that sets out the principles of the electoral system and processes. It says the system should be, transparent, it should be, accountable, simple, and also there should be a simple, practical way of voting and also tabulating the votes. So removing, the official mark without offering, because this is not telling us what is the alternative. We do not have an alternative to safeguard the ballot. So just removing the official mark without introducing a clearly defined and well-tested alternative could affect public confidence, as Isaac has mentioned. What the mischief that ECZ is trying to do, we hear that other ballots, the officers get tired. So if that is the problem, then why can't we employ more people? If it takes more time, then let's employ more people to do the stamping. Okay, if it is the stamps, that run out of ink, let's find a solution. But merely removing the official mark is not a solution, because it's like, as Isaac has mentioned, we say, we'll stop sending out, security guards because people steal either way. So I do not see a solution. So just removing the mark without introducing a tested alternative.
But the tested alternative is there.
It's a good way.
Joe, the tested alternative is there. And the tested alternative is you have a ballot paper that has features that the naked eye won't see. Isn't that enough? as an alternative?
It's not enough.
That alternative might be there, but remember, let me draw you back to Article 45. I think Isaac we agree with me. This has been the practice, and
Article 45 of the electoral process
of the Constitution.
Of the Constitution. Okay.
Yeah, which sets out the principles of electoral system and processes. The way of voting and tabulating votes should be simple, should be transparent, and also accountable. So. Then I bring you back to the reason why. Why are we, trying to remove the official mark? As Isaac has mentioned, if then people are getting tired and forgetting to stamp, then simply removing it is not the solution. Let's find a way to ensure that, if they are getting tired, maybe train them better, employ more people so that the official mark remains, because otherwise we end up, people should have confidence in the electoral systems. How do we then, if, as Isaac has mentioned, if the court orders a recount, how do we ensure that the same votes that we counted before are the same ones that we are going to recount? So I think we can all agree, it's the position of civil society organizations that, removing the mark, which is the safeguard, without introducing a clearly defined and well-tested alternative, to verify, would affect public confidence. And remember, public confidence in an electoral system matters a lot.
Okay, here's a text from somebody who says, can you please tell your guests that the polling assistants can also stamp more ballots and stuff them into the box?
Well, you see, these are the issues that happen in the ballot, in the polling center. In the polling center, why we put monitors, why organizations, why everybody else puts their monitors, is to see that immediate after the elections, the stamps are taken away. In fact, a lot of elections we have monitored is that immediate that happens is that they're sealed. The stamps are sealed, they're taken away. The ballot boxes are going on their way to the other side. There will be no opportunity for this officer, unless it's another officer along the way, who's going to start stamping all the ballot papers and put them, once they have been sealed with they're sealed. The ballot boxes are normally sealed. So when you are transporting them, you are transporting ballot boxes that are sealed. Okay? So the possibilities are there, Luchi. People are crafty. We're not saying it cannot happen. It happens, and politicians are the ones who raise this dust. The UPND raised this when they were in the opposition. The PF raised it when they were in the opposition. When they came in government, the issue of rigging, they said, no, there is actually no rigging. So these things happen. When you're on the opposition, you will see it. But when you're in government, usually you don't see it. Now, for us, what we're interested in is the accountability of the electoral process, which is what my colleague, my learned friend, has talked about, Luchi, here.
Article 45.
Accountability of the process. The only way you make the process accountable is that you bring the ballot papers with all their features. Add again to ensure that those who have cast the ballots, you can account. It's accountable. Like, this is a ballot, it has been cast, picked from the leaf and put in the with the stamp. That is what the Constitution speaks to. So the intention, again, by ECZ could have been very genuine, Luchi. Could have been very genuine. But I think that it can be fixed without necessarily removing the requirement of a stamp. Because even if you remove a stamp, there will still be invalid ballots, because people marked more than one candidate. Another one marked, the mark went into two boxes. So you can't attribute to one. So these are the issues that we cannot completely take away. But if we take away this issue of the official mark, I think we'll be doing injustice to the process.
Okay.
Government had a very good reason for introducing that law with the official mark. And they cannot today turn back and say, no, because our people who are managing elections are mischievous.
Well, times change. Times change. When they introduced this, maybe the biometrics were not there. It's 2020. It's 2020.
Yeah, but I mean, they shouldn't be mischievous. You shouldn't applaud the negligent people.
It's been 10 years since the first electoral reform act was put forward.
Yeah.
10 years later, times have changed.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on from the official mark, because there is something else as well that I want to focus on. So one other thing that the CSOs have been against is the issue of the term Secretary General. This is in line with party nomination signatures. Just explain why the civil society consortiums are a bit uncomfortable with the term Secretary General in terms of party nominations.
So, Luchi, you understand that the term Secretary General, when you put it into a law, it means that all political parties must have Secretary Generals. And the Secretary Generals must be registered under the law. Now, you have the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy. That does not have a Secretary General. It has a designation is National Secretary there. You have other parties that use different terms for this CEO of a political party. And this CEO of a political party is usually appointed by the president. It's at the president that appoints this CEO. He cannot be even above the president. Okay? So, when you register a political party, you go to the registrar. If you look at the Societies Act, I know you're a learned colleague, Luchi. You understand that the Societies Act does not provide for the definition of a Secretary General. Even when you go to register a political party, you don't register Secretary General. You register office bearers. And it is from the office bearers that the president will come, that a party will say this one will become a Secretary General, this one will become a publicity, and all those titles. They go at a political party level in accordance with their constitution. Now, trying to impose a Secretary General across all political parties is not sitting well with us. What we have suggested, okay, we are not disagreeing with the commission that when a political party sponsors a candidate, there must be proof of sponsorship. Who must sign that proof of sponsorship? It could be a presidential candidate in accordance with the whims of the political party. The political party must decide to say, in our party, the one who signs a sponsorship is a deputy secretary general or is a chairman for elections. It must be left to the political party to decide who the authorized person is, and not putting it in the law where you believe that all political parties have secretary generals, when the movement, the biggest political party, the former ruling party, had no secretary general. It had a national secretary. So for us, we think that ECZ should not step into this debate of who runs a political party. They must leave it to the political parties. But the political party, why they submit a constitution to the registrar of society, is to know who performs which particular duties. If ECZ is interested who the authorized representative is, they must look at the constitution for each political party that decides to feature in an election. So the way it has been worded, for us we proposed an amendment to say signed by the authorized representative of a political party. So authorized representative now comes in the realm of
It
who?
could be anyone.
Pardon?
It could be anyone.
Yes, it could be anyone. It could be the president, as long as
It could be a junior member.
It could be a junior member. It could be a chairman for elections.
So in other words, you haven't fixed anything.
No. We would have fixed something.
How would we have fixed
the
it if
political
anyone can
party?
sign?
The political party.
Is supposed to submit their names.
The political party has a constitution. The constitution, a party constitution, any party constitution, UPND, PF, FDD, and the rest, they have a person who signs, who performs these duties. And it is them who's supposed to state, if ECZ is in doubt, they can state to say, under our constitution, this is the person who's authorized to sign. So they can supply a list to ECZ of authorized persons to sign adoption certificates, and not necessarily a secretary general. So that is what our proposal is, and it fixes it very well, Luchi.
Okay, can I ask you? Let's be practical here, because even though they might say that they weren't looking at this, but I think that maybe they were looking at it in this sense. You have situations where now a lot of political parties, or some political parties, have factions. Right? We can name names if we want. You know, the PF have got different factions. You know, there is a possibility that going into the next elections, you have one faction signs off, you have another faction that signs off, and ECZ receives these two nominations. Who do they take?
So I don't know that should allow my colleague.
I'm assuming maybe that's the thinking that they're thinking of.
But you see, ECZ,
Joe, again, if you want to come in, please jump in.
Yeah, ECZ should not be concerned about the factions. ECZ works with the law, and they have been clear from the beginning that to work with what the registrar of societies, person who registered these political parties, will tell us to say these are office bearers. So ECZ normally picks those lists from the registrar of societies. The issue of factions has been exacerbated by the practices at the registrar of society. It has been exacerbated by the failure by our judiciary to deal with these matters, political matters, decisively. So our judiciary has failed our democracy. The societies, the registrar of societies has also failed to ensure that our political parties, which are a creature of the constitution now, can contribute to strengthening our democracy. So it is not ECZ. I think that ECZ should avoid getting into trying to find a solution, because even as they are trying to find a solution, these factions, there's one who says, I am the recognized Secretary General. Another one says, this matter is in court. So ECZ should not step into this matter.
But then what is the solution?
The solution is, for ECZ, is they have already said they will collect the information from the societies, Office of the Registrar of Societies, which is official, which is what the court has also, the Constitutional Court acknowledged to say that those who are registered at the Register of Societies are the ones that are credible. So ECZ must never jump into these factions and what. No. All they should do is ask the registrar when they are filing, when people are now filing the list and signing these documents to say, give us a list. Political parties must fight with the registrar of societies. The registrar of societies must know that he is not the alpha and the omega. We have the courts. Sadly, as I've said, our courts have not helped to deal with these political cases. And one of the issue with our judiciary is that our courts are mandated to ensure that the national values are upheld. They're enforced. These principles are enforced, which includes democracy and constitutionalism. So for me, ECZ will be denting their own image if they step into this frame to try and deal with who is the legitimate. All they can say is that we want an authorized office bearer. And who's an office bearer? All political parties submit who your authorized office bearers is. They base it on that, and they check with the registrar. Is this person registered under the Societies Act? Enough, yes, they are registered. You would have cured that rather than trying to say Secretary General. Suppose the political party says it's a presidential, the president of the party who must sign this. Okay, who has the authority? The Secretary General in most political parties are not elected; they are appointed. They can be removed at any time. So you can imagine where today you remove a Secretary General because it's your appointee and you replace it with another person. You create more confusion when you put it in the law. Just allow authorized office bearers to sign an adoption certificate. Whether it's called adoption certificate, for us we think that it can be anything. It can even be a letter that outlines a list of people that you have sponsored as a political party. It shouldn't necessarily be an adoption certificate, because an adoption certificate is not even part of the requirement in the Constitution for you to file in a nomination. But you need to just prove that you have been sponsored. You can just have a letter in writing to say we have sponsored this candidate, 10 of them. You submit. That is sufficient.
Okay. Let me take a little break. When we come back, we'll open up the phone lines so that people can join into our conversation this morning. We'll take a short 2-minute break. Back very shortly.
FM on Instagram. Follow Phoenix FM on Instagram. Search Phoenix FM Zambia to see behind the scenes images and videos of your favorite presenters.
Your future starts now at Eden University. Enroll this January intake and study in high-demand programs designed to address prevailing national issues in water, sanitation, or pollution, and enforce safety rules to avert hazards in the mining sector. Choose from our Bachelor of Science in Occupational Health and Safety or a Bachelor of Science in Public Health amongst our 6 different faculties. Prefer a diploma? We offer a diploma in Environmental Health, practical, hands-on, and career-focused. Don't wait for opportunities. Prepare for them. Visit Eden University and apply now to secure your place. For details, contact 0971 719 099 or 0974 252 892 or follow our Facebook page, Eden University ZM, for updates and promotions. Good news, Zambia! Camco is at it again with a massive tractor promotion you cannot afford to miss. Get a powerful 60 horsepower tractor at only 300,000 kwacha. Yes, you heard right, 300,000 kwacha. And a strong and reliable 75 horsepower tractor now going for only 410,000 kwacha. That's a huge 20% off. Plus, enjoy 10 to 20% discount on selected Camco products store-wide. Hurry, hurry! Limited stock. This promotion is valid until 31st March 2026. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your nearest Camco branch today or call 0973 858424. Camco, durable and affordable. The Zambia Institute of Architects presents Tee Off for Tiny Heroes, Par for a Cure. Join us on April 3rd, 2026 at the Lusaka Golf Club as we tee off for a cause that matters. We're renovating the UTH Children's Infectious Disease Ward, bringing hope and healing to Zambia's little champions. Swing into action with the architectural community, corporate partners, and golf enthusiasts. Bring the kids along for fun activities while you network and compete. Take part in the noble cause by participating or sponsoring under various categories. Every drive, every put, every swing brings hope. Be part of it. Call 0955 092206 or email zia.architects@gmail.com for more information. Let's make a difference together.
Phoenix FM.
It's 10:15. Welcome back to Let the People Talk. If you want to get in touch with us this morning, 226841 0978 895 895. Our guests this morning, Mr. Isaac Mwanza and Mr. Joe Mapiki, joins us online. Mr. Mapiki is Team Lead, Transparency and Accountability Lab. Mr. Isaac Mwanza, of course, needs no introduction. He's been heavily involved with constitutional matters, with governance matters. Our topic this morning focuses on the Electoral Process Amendment Bill, what it means as we head to the elections in August. So 22641 0978 895 895. Let's start here. Hello, good morning. Oh, lost you on that line. 22641 0978 895 895. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, mwaka banji masonza banji nari banji weekend na holiday.
Buna banji boss. Zina yanu?
No effect. Zina yanga ndene judgment day kamayo stumbe kontumira kuno kwa kanyanga. Bari banji bari mu studio.
Astumeko muli bwanji?
No effect yami kamulungu atyusha wanzati bari mu mochari. Sinigwirizana na bagest pamene wakamba kuti vaisize vafuniko ikira konzeru kuti ni ndani wamene leading a party. Kuri mapati amene tiziwa kuti ndiye president, ndiye vice president, ndiye secretary general, ndiye deputy secretary general, ayo mapati siyafuna. So tifuna vaisize tivasevenzere pamozi na va registrar of society. Kuti mapati ari so. Tifuna party amene iri na democracy. Party iri na vice president, iri na secretary general, na deputy secretary general. Na venangu mamemba vamene vafuni kuranganira secretary general vamene achita. Mamemba vamene varanganira president vamene achita. Munga mwamene iri UPND, iri na vice president, iri na secretary general, na deputy secretary general, na committee. Vamene vasevenzera pamozi na vice president, vamene vasevenzera pamozi na president, ndiye mapati amene tifuna ya imilile ino 2026. Ngati nikapati kajakamene kalibe president, balichabe na maligalia. Vaisize chichiwauza chiyai, iyo party tifuna ichite participate. Ziko mulungu azimisunga.
Okay, let's come with us, Tumbeko. 22641 0978 895 895. Hello, good morning.
Luchi, good morning.
Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Chilando, within track.
Sorry, your name again?
Chilando.
Chilando. Okay, go ahead, Chilando.
Mr. Mwanza, morning.
Mr. Chilano, good morning.
I'm good. Luchi, I will be a bit digressional, but within the same topic. Understandably so, the Act number 13 of 2026 has provided for the leverage or enough room for persons with disabilities to participate in the electoral process of this country. Now, Mr. Mwanza, I would like to get it from you, knowing that you are in the CSO, you are running a CSO. Who takes up this demanding responsibility of training and equipping persons with disabilities with the necessary electoral knowledge or understanding what should be done when they get either into the National Assembly? I say so because persons with disabilities are a broad and diverse population grouping of the people with different individual differences. I thought it would have started with political parties putting things in order, because in most of these political parties, you agree with me that their political party manifestos, they are not even in Braille. These political parties have not taken it upon themselves to train sign language interpreters. So maybe you as CSOs, how are you collaborating with political parties to give them knowledge on the issues that we persons with disabilities are besetted with, including me, because as I'm calling you, I'm somebody who is visually impaired. How is your working collaboration with these political parties, or who takes up this mandate of empowering these political parties, for fear that we persons with disabilities, we might just be exhibits in Parliament to show for that we have persons with disabilities, but without any meaningful contribution we are making. Thank you very much, Ruchi. We are still together.
Yeah, Mr. Chilando, thank you. Thank you very much. Let me take 2 or 3 more, then I'll let you respond. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay. Doesn't seem to be anybody on the line there. Hello, good morning.
Morning,
Morning, Mr. Joseph.
morning, Mr. Mwanza.
Morning, Mr. Joseph.
Yes, morning, Mr. Matiki. Yeah.
Good morning, thanks.
Let me go set my contribution. Mr. Mwanza and the NGOs and the NGO, the NGO. I'm challenging you. Which I won't stop. Workshops for the disabled. Workshops. Train the disabled how to go in the National Assembly, how to talk in the National Assembly, how to discuss in the National Assembly. I won't stop this. Thank you very much, Mr. Mwanza.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph. So Mr. Joseph and Chilando both essentially speaking, to the same issues. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Kwame. How are you?
Okay, thank you. What's your name, sir?
Cabo Godfrey.
Okay, Mr. Cabo Godfrey.
Calling within Lusaka, specifically Kabanana.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
My concern is about the leadership. Leadership is inborn from the Creator, God's given. Not from the papers, the degree, from the certificate, grade 12 or whatever. No. That's number one, to move out. Then, second, the fact is that was a dirty stamp for ballot paper. No. He said no. This is at it is. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. 226-841-0978-895-895. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, sir. What's your name? Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Billy.
Billy. Go ahead, Billy.
Okay, yes. Okay, mine is good morning to the two panelists.
Good morning, Mr. Bill.
Yes. Okay, mine is just to echo what Mr. Mwanza and the other panelists talked about, about the removal of is it a mark?
The official mark
on the ballot. I think for me, I would love the ECZ to uphold. To keep that official mark on the casting of the ballot paper, because I'm taking this. I'm talking this from the experience of banking. You know, like in a bank, you'd you would have a situation whereby a customer presents you with a query to say, I did this, this has not been done. And the first thing you would ask them to say, okay, where is your deposit slip? When they present you with a deposit slip, what you would see is that, okay, this customer, there is a stamp for maybe deposited a check at the Zanaco branch, Lusaka, or at this branch. So the stamp will be able to tell to say, okay, will be able to guide to say, okay, this person really did deposit a check, and you can take up your query and resolve your query from there. So I think the ECZ keeping a debt stamp on it will really keep will be a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. 226-841-0978-895. One more, and then I'll let you respond. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Is that Phoenix?
Yes, this is Phoenix. You're live on radio. What's your name?
My name is Jerry calling from Kabwe.
Okay, Mr. Jerry, go ahead.
You're having an interview.
Mr. Jerry, turn off the radio. Turn off the radio, Mr. Jerry.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Okay, you're live on radio, Mr. Jerry.
Yes, on the official stamp, what can be difficulty in making an official stamp if certificates, university certificates are being whatever printed and so on? So what can be difficulty in making an official stamp if it means the people want to dig? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I think we've got some questions, and then we'll go back to the phone lines, but let's get some responses. I don't know who wants to go first. Joe, do you want to go first, or Isaac?
Let him go first.
Joe, maybe you can go first.
Okay, thank you. So I picked a few things. If I leave out anything, please jump in and remind me.
Okay.
We had someone who mentioned an issue of, ECZ, that the ECZ is right, to demand that these political parties, have leaders. So it is not the role of ECZ. We have institutions, as Isaac mentioned. We have the Register of Societies that is mandated to register political parties. And if people are not happy with the decisions, of the affairs, the way they are handled at the Register of Societies, we have the judiciary, we have courts of law where people can go to. But now then to have the ECZ, there's a saying at Indeoya Vene. So what ECZ is trying to do now is, to demand us in the bill, to require nomination documents to be signed by a Secretary General of Political. You agree with me that not all political parties use that title. What we have as a concern is that, we have candidates that have valid nominations get rejected because of just the terminology. So what we are saying is that the law should not focus on should just focus on authorized officials, not specific job titles. It doesn't matter whether there are 4 factions, 5 factions that are claiming the party. It is not the role of ECZ to sort political party matters. We have the Register of Societies, and if people are not happy with the way those issues are handled, let them go to court. What we are just saying is that the ECZ should not now tell us that each and every political party should have a Secretary General, because that term alone is not constitutional, but it's not recognized by the Constitution. If political parties choose to call each other president, if they say Secretary General, if they want, they let them call each other commander, but then ECZ should not dictate who that each and every political party should have a Secretary General. So the person whom said that ECZ is right, it's not the duty of ECZ to sort out matters to do with factions. The Register of Societies, the courts of law, so we have institutions that have that mandate. Okay. Then there was also a question to do with who has the responsibility of training persons with disabilities. So you agree with me that the law is clear. There will be the 40 seats that have been guaranteed under the Constitution. Those will be submitted, as Isaac mentioned, through party lists. Then it becomes the responsibility of political parties, because these are the ones that are going to identify who they include on that list that is going to be submitted during nominations. So it is the role of political parties to identify persons with disabilities and co-opt them in their political parties. And also, if you read the bill further, it talks of internal democratic processes of choosing these 40 people where the PWDs are included. So it is the role of political parties, but we also have civil society organizations that will work, to safeguard the rights of persons with disabilities, so they can also come in. So civil society organizations, but the duty mainly lies with the political parties, because the political parties that are going to identify persons with disabilities, who they are going to include on the party list that is going to be submitted.
Okay, let's touch on this party list, because we didn't talk about it in the first hour, but we've got a wonderful entry now. Thanks, Joe, for allowing us entry into the party list. So the party list is not. The Constitution doesn't envision the party list as just a political party decides on 40 people. There's a process that it outlines. Is that correct, Isaac?
Indeed, Luchi, is that there must be a party list that the political parties are going to submit to ECZ. And now, the way we have drafted our bill, the draft bill that the Commission has given us, for instance, it will tell you, it will define what a party list is. And the definition of a party list, we agree with it, but we think that it is not sufficient the way it has been defined. So a party list has been defined as a list which a democratically elected list. So ECZ understands that there must be internal democracy in choosing a list, because they're saying democratically elected under the definition section. So what is democratically elected? There is no explanation as in the bill how the democratically elected must come into being. Means that we need to ensure that in the law we must be clear that when political parties are coming up with a party list of 20 women, 15 youths, 5 persons with disabilities, they must conduct an internal election. There must be an internal election. And in fact, that is what is demanded by Article 60 of the Constitution, that a political party shall sponsor candidates for elections, shall nominate candidates through an election, internal elections, for elections, national elections. That is what the Constitution talks about. The same Article 60 talks about strengthening intra-party democracy. There must be intra-party democracy. So we agree with ECZ the way they have worded a party list. To say it's a democratically determined list. But what is democratically determined? They have not put a provision how democratic it must be. In our view, the law must clearly, for them to use democratically determined, it means that in the substantive provision, they must provide to say what will constitute a democratically determined. There must be an internal election which a political party must be able to justify. We who are onlookers from the side here, because we're interested in the Constitution, upholding the Constitution, we must be able to challenge to say, this list that has been given to ECZ, was it generated by one man in the boardroom who just sit and say, ujamukazi nzamu ikapo because amaimba maningi, and that one is my relative, and that one is my relative? It shouldn't be like that. President Hakainde Hichilema did not have this in mind when he was saying we need women in parliament, we need youths in parliament. When he was propagating that, he knew to say that political parties must sponsor these people, but not one man choosing who is going to go on a party list because they believe that it is them with the power. It is the Secretary General who's just going to certify it to say this is a list from FDD, this is a list from NDC, this is a list from UPND, or a list from whatever political party. No. The list must be backed by the fact that it was democratically determined. So this provision in the draft bill will be a nullity. It will be meaningless if the law does not provide for
how the election is done.
How the election is done.
Okay, so it must say as an example, every member of a political party should vote, or the national committee or
exactly,
whatever should decide on
exactly.
such a list.
Or it must compel, the law must compel the political parties, because already the Constitution provides the principle that there must be a democracy, internal democracy, and there must be elections for the selection of candidates. Now, this law that we are making, it is falling short by not compelling political parties to ensure that the democratically determined list happens because the internal democracy worked. So there must be proof of internal democracy having taken place to avoid this issue of having just this guy who's at the top, or this guy who's a secretary general, or this guy who's the chairman for elections, choosing who's supposed to go on the party list. Members of the political parties must be able to compete amongst themselves. And for the PWDs, I like that question that came in. Our persons with disabilities, you must understand now that we don't have a law that allows you to stand on your own to say, I'm going on a party list, because there'll be 5 in parliament. No. You must be aligned to political parties. It is now time to identify the political parties that can adopt you. Political parties must begin to identify persons with disabilities who will be adopted in the council elections, who will be adopted in the National Assembly. And they must begin to train. And I liked what Mr. Chilando said here, is that there must be collaboration between political parties and civil society. We as civil society, we are ready to do this collaboration with all political parties. Those who want our expertise, we are ready to give our expertise, to collaborate with them, train these people. But there's a lot more process that is required. The persons with disabilities must be involved. Their institutions must be involved, because when coming up with the Braille and the sign language and all that, it requires all that effort together.
Okay, can I also ask you just on the list, because I think one of the things that the Electoral Process Act, the amendment bill says, is it stipulates the order that, for example, the women should be, that the youth, should still be male, female, male, female, male, female.
Yes, for the women,
and that's submitted then to the Electoral Commission.
For the women, for instance,
but can I ask how many people are on this list?
So the list for the women, there are only 20 on the list for the women. And these are just ranked in order of preference.
Okay, so who
number
chooses
1 to 20?
Who chooses the preference?
This is a party now that
because from you've pushed the angle that this list has to be generated democratically.
Yes,
but the preference is not democratic.
So if you are going to put it democratically determined, it means that the person who gets the highest votes internally should be number 1.
Okay, the
person who gets the lowest should be number 20. Such that even when ECZ is going to say these political parties allocated 5 seats, it's ECZ that will pick number 1 to number 5. That is the whole essence of the party list, of ranking people 1 up to 20, 1 up to 15, 1 up to 5. For the women, for the youths and persons with disabilities, the law also requires that it must be have alternates, a man, a woman, a man and a woman, but it to be ranked as well in the order of preference. That preference should be democratically determined.
Okay.
So there must be an internal election. We can't avoid that. If we make a law that avoids that, I think that it will be subject to challenge in court.
Okay. Can I then also, is this list published? Is there any law at the moment that says that this list is supposed to be published for people to see?
So the proposed section 36E of the bill, ECZ has said that they will publish the list 14 days afterwards. After the close, election. After they have been the ECZ has been given the list. Mm-hmm. So your 5 days, the nomination of presidential candidate take place. Mm-hmm. After 5 days, the political parties submit the list. Mm-hmm. After they've submitted the list, ECZ will check if there is anyone who does not qualify. One person does not qualify, they will tell the political party to rectify that. If all of them do not qualify, they will reject the list. But there is a void. If 2 people do not qualify, what happens? There is void in that law which has been drafted. But it gives an option of ECZ rejecting the list or advising a political party to replace a person who does not qualify. Then now it gives 36E Section 36E of the draft bill tells us to say that ECZ shall within 14 days publish that list. Now you see, 5 days after the nomination for the presidential candidates have closed, there is a period in between where ECZ will do exchange. It doesn't state when, how long political parties will be given to rectify. Then 14 days to be published. You are talking about close to 20, 30 days. Now, already, this is an election that is going in motion. When do people have a right to challenge these nominations? Because it is only when you publish that list that people can go and challenge to say these have been nominated by a political party. So we must synchronize this publishing. The publishing must happen when ECZ is publishing the list of those who have been successfully nominated in constituency-based and presidential. This list must be published so that we can adhere to the Constitution. Those who want to challenge, they can challenge the list 5 days.
Okay.
I think ECZ should not take up this idea of trying to check the list and saying, oh, this one member does not qualify, can you rectify? All ECZ must do is that they have accepted the list, they have received the nomination. They check in their own way, they say, okay, I think we prima facie they qualify. They must quickly publish the list. So that those who know to say, oh, your candidate who was in jail for 3 years, in the last 5 years, I can go and challenge that list. Or this candidate does not have a grade 12 certificate, I can go and challenge and say, no, actually they lied, this one has no grade 12 certificate. But if you are going to prolong the period to about 30 days before people can begin to challenge the party list, you are already in an election period. So it will not serve well. In our belief, when a presidential candidate is filing in the nomination, the parties must be ready with their list. They must be doing, immediately Parliament dissolves. We believe that they must be choosing who are the 20 going to Parliament, who are the 15, who are the 5 who will be on our list, so that when the presidential candidate is going to file in, they must also file in their number to say these are the numbers at parliamentary level.
Okay.
In the district, they must also be filing in.
Okay. Joe, do you want to come in quickly?
Yes, so I agree with Isaac. If you look at the bill, the proposed amendment, and on page 13, section 36E, they are saying that ECZ will have a 14-day timeline for processing and publication of the party list. So that means that after the party submits the list to ECZ, then we have to wait 14 days, okay, for us to know who is on that party list. But then again, if you look at Article 52 of the Constitution there prescribes a 7-day period for challenging nominations. So we cannot then wait the whole 14 days for us to have access to the party list and only be given 7 days under which to challenge the nomination. So what we are calling for as a civil society organization is that let's amend, the proposal ECZ is bringing forward 36E, so that within 7 days, instead of us waiting for 14 days, ECZ should process and also publish the party list within 7 days, so that within the 7 days, then people can interrogate the list. If people, are challenging the nomination, they can challenge, rather than waiting the whole 14 days, then only have 7 days to challenge the nomination. So I think we should align Section 36E to the constitutional, to what the Constitution prescribes in Article 52. Okay. I think Isaac can add on that.
Okay. Let me go back to the phone lines. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. I am Elijah Ngwale, senior blind citizen, Ururu Ambassador for Persons with Disabilities, recipient of the President's insignia of honor conferred upon me by the 7th President of the Republic of Zambia, on President Hakainde Hichilema on 24th of October 2021. In the first place, I would like to commend, let me not speak Bemba English, because the Bemba will say I would like to recommend, but I would like to commend all of you for the manner you are managing the topic or the program. Secondly, I would like to commend the two persons, I think the first, Mr. Chilando, and the other one, for having mentioned these persons with disabilities. It's very crucial, very critical. It's imperative, it's not superlative. Nowadays, that whenever you are presenting such programs, persons with disabilities must be mentioned. It's unfortunate that the way things have been done, persons with abilities who are going to be in parliament or everywhere would just be exhibits. In fact, you call them exhibits with disabilities. Giving them 5 people, in fact, when you do that, when there are about 5 people in parliament to represent them, those other members of parliament, what's going to happen is that they will say, so this way of doing things is archaic, anachronistic, and atavistic. What must have been done is the mainstreaming and inclusivity, of persons with disabilities issues and programs, so that each and every member of parliament, wherever they are, they will feel that there's something for persons with disabilities. When you do that, you also have to, of course, elect members of parliament who are persons with disabilities. Now, what I would like to appeal to Mr. Mwanza is this. Please, Mr. Mwanza, what you have to inculcate in us UPND, me I'm Kamwanga, but I'm UPND empathizer. What you have to inculcate in us is the ability to solve problems. To solve problems. Right now, we have the ability to create problems. Creating these challenges we are doing, like Rule 13, for example, Rule 13. This will just cause more problems. We create problems. We say we are making the situation better by bringing these things. But that's when we are creating problems, like this removal of whatever you call it, the creation of problems. Rule 13 has just created problems. Creating. So what I'm pleading with you, Mr. Mwanza, find ways and means with your consortium of making us people, leaders in UPND, these leaders, a government, and whichever government, it should not be interested in creating problems without solving them. I'm telling you that in UPND we shall continue even in May. Even by June, you just wait. By June you shall continue creating. We think we are solving the problems, and yet we are creating the problems. So I'm appealing to NGOs, I'm appealing to everybody. In conclusion, please emphasize on the leaders, UPND, the government, that it's high time they learn how to solving problems, other than creating. Even that's what we shall be doing. Even by June, they'll be bringing in this. They think that they are correcting the situation, and then they are correcting the situation.
Mr. Ngwale, thank you very much. 226-841 0978-895-895 if you want to get in touch with us this morning. That's the number you can use, 226-841 0978-895-895. He was making the point about people with disabilities being exhibits. I mean, that's not true, is it? I think we need to stop this idea that it's just seats that you hold. I mean, the president himself said that the people under this mixed proportional representation, those 40, are going in there to actually make a difference. Create laws. This is what our hope is, Luchi, that the people who are going, the 40, must be equals to those who have been elected. The fears that they exhibit to say that there will be exhibits with disabilities. Even the youths have said, even as the youths, it looks like it will be just tokenism. The women are saying, no, the people will be calling us flower girls in parliament. I think that we need to demystify this. You are going there as members of parliament.
And that is why some of us, like from civil society, we are not just looking at the problems in the law, we are even offering solutions. We expect those who are going to parliament to offer solutions in the law. An example I'm giving you, for instance, Lucia, is that our youths, you realize that when we went around the country, every youth said that we support this because we want our youths in parliament. Now we are making a law that says that the only youths that can go in parliament under the draft bill is youths who are between the age of 21 and 29 years. If you are 30 years old, Luchi, as a youth, and you were busy trying to say, we want the youths in parliament, you will not go to parliament. I think you are closing the doors unnecessarily. What we wanted to see is our youths must be in parliament, but also offer quality debate. But if you are going to have youths who are 21 years old in parliament, and you are saying a youth who's 31 years old cannot in parliament, but yet he's more knowledgeable, he's experienced, he can debate. You want just these ones because they were making noise at the universities, in their schools, primary school, debating. You think that they are quality. I think we'll compromise the debates in parliament. So for us, we must look at our law clearly, that these are not flower girls going to parliament. These are not exhibits with disabilities. These are not just youths that are who are making the most of the noise. No. There are people that will be quality, that will bring quality to parliament. And if we want quality in parliament, we must allow even a 30-year-old youth to go to parliament. When they reach the age of 35, their political party can recall them, can simply recall them and say, you have reached the age of 35, and replace with another youth who's a youth. Because this seat belongs to a political party. It's not like you are going to an election. The election took place in a political party. You know who's next. So you can choose from the list. If your idea is to have only 35-year-old, up to those who are up to 35-year-old for the whole of parliament, you can introduce a recall when a person reaches the age of 35. But don't close the gap. Because I've heard so many youths from UPND, Luchi, from PF, from Citizens First. They are all saying, what is it that we're supporting? If me, who's 30 years old, cannot go to parliament, and only my 21-year-old I recruited yesterday can go to parliament, I think it would be unfair for them. So they deserve better, our youths. We deserve quality in parliament. And it is up to our youths, our women, to position themselves, to offer something good. We shouldn't regret that we made this law and that these people are not offering quality debate in parliament.
This is from somebody who says this year's election will not be free and fair because of so many electoral commission amendments that have been proposed or framed to favor mostly the party in power, and if there will be a change of government, all those amendments will be changed, which is a drawback. The electoral commission is supposed to be independent, with commissioners appointed by an act of parliament, not the way it's being run by cadres.
Yeah, before I let my learned colleague, the bill was passed and then taken to the president. Parliament was dissolved. The president only signed that law on June 6th, when campaigns were very hot. That's when we had that law. But in this one, I think we should be able to give credit to this administration and the ECZ that at least we have seen the bill before it is even taken to parliament, a draft bill. This is the first time that the bill is brought to the public and say, examine it, criticize it, give us feedback. And what we are giving is a feedback we have given to the commission and to the public now. We are going to go before parliament and tell them what to change in this bill. I think we have fairly good time to pass this law compared to what happened in 2016.
Yeah. Joe, do you want to? Here's a question for you, Joe. Can we need to pass this piece of legislation? Otherwise, there is a possibility of us falling in a constitutional crisis. Is that correct?
Yeah, I agree with you. So we need to pass this piece of legislation before Parliament closes, because it is very instrumental. Because most of the changes, if not all, that were made regarding, the electoral process, the electoral reforms that have to be affected or affected through this piece of legislation. And so just to come back, I think there was something that Isaac was mentioning on youths. So what people should realize, those 40 seats, the 20 youths, the 5 PWDs and 20 women, as Isaac mentioned, it's not just, scramble for seats. Just because you are a youth, you think you deserve that seat. So people should, be aware that these youths, the qualification, the same qualifications that members of parliament need to file nominations. These are the same qualifications that these youths will also need. But if you interrogate Section 36C of the proposed bill, it also mentioned that a candidate, for example, a youth, that ends up under a party list submitted, then they shall be a youth for the term of that parliament. So what that means is that you can't then submit a name after 1 year that person ceases to be a youth. So even as political parties submit those names on the party list, Section 36C says that under subsection 4, it says that a youth who ends up under a party list, on that list, shall be a youth for the term of parliament. So I think we also need to be observant of such clauses. As Isaac mentioned, it's not just a matter of getting PWDs. We need persons with disabilities that will go to parliament, because we are not just sending them there for the sake of sending them. We are sending them there for a purpose, to represent their colleagues, PWDs. We are sending youths there to speak to the interests of the youths. We are sending women there to have a seat at the table where decisions, policies, and laws to do with women in the country are going to be decided. So it's just not the matter of sending a woman ending up on a party list because they are simply a woman. It's not the matter of just because you are a youth, you end up. No, there will be other pre-qualifications that you need to have for you to end up on that party list. Or else, well, we'll have nominations being challenged.
Yeah. Just before we finish off, there's a question here from Kenny. Kenny's from Chingola. Kenny, this is a very, very dangerous question to ask, especially when we've just come from International Women's Day. But Kenny says, why do we have women on the list of youths and persons with disabilities? Why don't we have persons with disabilities on the list of women and youths? Because it is possible to have women on the list of youths and vice versa. That's from Kenny. And Kenny is right. The way that the electoral process bill has been phrased, it says a party list submitted under subsection 1B and C, this is 15 youth and 5 persons with disabilities, shall contain alternates between male and female candidates in the priority in which they are listed. A party list, this is now 3, a party list submitted under subsection 1C shall contain alternates of the classes of disabilities. This was 1C, this is 5 persons with disabilities. But it doesn't say anything about the women being, it doesn't say anything about the alternates that you should have persons with disabilities. But when it comes to the area for disabilities, it says you should have male and female. So
yeah, so this is an interesting thing, and you're right. It's dangerous.
Yes,
dangerous.
Kenny, thanks.
Yeah,
even though it's dangerous, but thanks for it.
So you can't have you can have a PWD who's a woman, a person with disability who's a woman, and you don't want to discriminate against this PWD who's a woman. You can have a youth who's a woman and who's a man, and you don't want to discriminate. The principle of the Constitution is non-discrimination. Now, the only category is the women category. You can't have a man who's a woman in this country. At least we haven't reached that stage as yet, where you can have a man who's a woman, okay, under our laws. Although we know that these things are happening and it's becoming rife. But the idea is to never discriminate. When you're a youth, you're a woman or you're a man, you must have an equal opportunity to participate on the party list. Whether you're a youth, whether you're a man or a woman, but you are a person with disability, you must be given a chance to participate on that list. That is the rationale behind that. So for us, I think that this is something that is progressive. This is something that is progressive. We're going to have more women in parliament because some of the women, it's not just these 20. Others will be amongst these youths. Others will come from the persons with disabilities. So we might have just on the party out of the 40, we might have at least 22 women that will be elected to parliament on that list out of the entire list.
I think the issue that Kenny raises is that and there is still time. I think there is still time because obviously these are proposals, but there is still time. I think for us to say that the party list that is submitted under 1A and B should contain 1C as well. Should contain alternates of 1C. I think there is still time.
But how do you put the alternate on the 1A? Because 1A they are all women.
Yeah, but you mean tell me that there is no woman who can be.
But maybe we could put on the women's to say that out of the women, there must be a youth.
Yeah.
There must be person with disability. I think we can include that provision to ensure that it completes the whole structure. That I totally agree.
I think I know where Kenny is coming from, and I've heard this from many, many people who say that it was a bit unfair to only have 5 persons with disabilities, but you have 35 women.
No. I think it's right. Yeah. And I think it's right. Some of us who champion that, will go to parliament, will tell parliament to say, on the women list, there must be an alternate, a woman who's not disabled, a woman who's a youth, and one who's not disabled. And it goes like that. Yeah. So that there is this alternate that appears everywhere.
Yeah. Just one last one before we finish off. All political parties, just like registered trade unions, should all have general secretaries. Those using other titles should rename their titles. There's no harm to that. Secondly, all political parties should have elected officials, not a party with one person serving as president and secretary general. In 2016, we had election rigging with a new constituency, Chitulika, that never existed, having voters more than Kanyama and Kawata constituencies combined. Yet ballots had ECZ stamps. We saw pre-marked ballots abandoned at ECM Mo in Kitwe during the 2021 general elections, and all had ECZ stamps. Rigging can be done with or without stamps. Politics will stop if not for date stamps. Let the ECZ continue with date stamps. So this person is just essentially echoing the line that they should remain with.
So I would say that we need political parties that have a national character. We don't need one-man political parties, and I agree with that. And the ECZ must work with the registrar to ensure that we have a credible a list amongst whom we can say these are leaders of political parties. The second issue that I think is mentioned, which is key for me, is delimitation. Where it's talking about a constituency that was created and it has no voters. We are doing delimitation now of these constituencies. For me, I would like to see ECZ balance up the numbers, not just the population density in that area, not just the surface area in that area, but they must also look at the number of voters. Imagine, Luchi, if you are going to do delimitation of Mwandi constituents, where you divide it into 2, because Mwandi, the registered voters are about 14,000. The inhabitants, you can say they are more than 40,000. Now, you divide Mwandi constituents. You are going to have a constituency of 7,000 voters. You are not achieving equality in terms of the constituencies, because you have constituencies in Lusaka that have 100,000 registered. Okay? So for me, it is the balancing up. And what we have done as a consortium of civil society is that we have used a certain formula to come up with the number of seats, Luchi. And in our formula, I'll give you the numbers of seats that must be allocated to each province. We are not talking about per constituents. We are talking about each province, Luchi. So if you look at our numbers in the analysis that we have done, this will make it public soon. But I will tell you that we are balancing up the figures. Okay, we are balancing up the figures because we are looking at the geography, you are looking at the population density, you are looking at the voter population, you are looking at the history. Those are the factors that we have weighed, and we have used the formula called the weighted composite index to come up with how many seats must be in Lusaka province as a whole, how many seats must be in Southern province as a whole. And what we came up with, for instance, is that you see that Lusaka province, let me read out the provinces.
Just very quickly because there's a lot of time.
Okay, Central Province, under our list, they would have 8 seats, new seats, out of the 70. Copper Belt would have 9 seats. Eastern Province would have 8 seats. Luapula would have 6 seats. Lusaka would have 8 seats. Muchinga would have 5 seats. Northern Province would have 6 seats. Northwestern would have 7 seats. Southern Province would have 8 seats. And Western Province would have 5 seats. The total comes to 70 new seats. How did we come up with this? We used the composite score. Each province was scored against how they performed on this index, where you have rated, you have weighted these 4 factors. You weight the 4 factors: 20% to surface area, 20% to registered voters. Then you use that index to weight all of them. The score is what you use. Then you come up with this. We don't know what ECZ will do. But if ECZ just decides, no, I think let's just give, they must have a formula. And I think that we're looking forward to a report what their formula would have been, because we don't want to see a constituency with the 2,000 or 5,000 voters outside there, when in Lusaka you have 100,000.
Okay. Joe, anything lastly you want to say on your end before we finish off?
Okay, I agree with Isaac because what Isaac was doing was spelling out the principles, what ECZ should follow when doing the delimitation, and these are spelled out in Article 59 of the Constitution. So would love to see that the delimitation process, follows and conforms with Article 59, looking at the history, diversity, cohesiveness, also the population density, because as Isaac mentioned, it wouldn't make much sense dividing a constituency in 2 when you have just a little number of people that are inhabitants there, because then the whole essence of having delimitation is to have fair and equity when it comes to representations. Otherwise, we'll wait for ECZ to give us the final delimitation outcomes. And remember, the Constitution also in Article 58 says any person may apply to the Constitutional Court for review of the decision. So if we are not happy, if we see that these principles and these things were not followed, then Article 58 gives us that right to apply to the Constitutional Court for review.
Okay. Mr. Joe Mapiki, who is currently in Choma, thank you very much for joining us on the program today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Mr. Isaac Mwanza in studio as well. Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Luchi.
Yeah, we've been taking a look at the Electoral Process Amendment Bill, what it means for 2026. Thank you very much indeed for listening. We return on Friday. I think Uncle Frank is in on Friday for Friday's edition of Let the People Talk. Thank you very much indeed for listening.
This has been Let the People Talk. Let the People Talk. Join us again every Tuesday and Fridays at 09 hours for another live intriguing discussion of various issues of national interest on Radio Phoenix, the station of the nation. The station of the nation.
The global news on Phoenix FM.
The headlines: 2 men charged with terror offenses after a homemade bomb thrown outside New York City mayor's home. And hundreds of teenagers report for duty as Croatia reinstates conscription. With the global news, I am Paddy Mogando. 2 men have been charged with terror offenses after police said they attempted to bomb a protest outside the New York City mayor's home in an attack allegedly inspired by the Islamic State group IS. The suspects, 18-year-old Emir Balat and 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi, allegedly told police that they aimed for the Saturday attack to be even larger than the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013 that left 3 dead. New York police say the pair attempted to detonate 2 explosives outside Gracie Mansion, where Mayor Zoran Mamdani lives.